Square is a US finance company that was founded by Jack Dorsey, whose name might sound familiar considering he is both the CEO and a co-founder of the popular social media platform known as Twitter. Square just recently acquired the Australian buy now pay later service known as Afterpay for a staggering $39 billion. That's billion with a B. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing a theory I have surrounding why I believe buy now, pay later services are going to take over traditional credit cards, and why as an investor, it's important to be aware of this potential shift in power. Something that could potentially threaten our banks is a trending headline that I have seen come up over the past couple of weeks. So I thought I would dig a bit deeper to try and get a better understanding of what these headlines are referring to. After we saw the announcement that Square was going to be purchasing Afterpay, we saw both companies' share prices skyrocket, with Square's share price increasing about 10% and Afterpay shooting up roughly 20%, which would have been a nice little bonus to its shareholders. Now, I remember my girlfriend's uncle telling me that he was thinking about buying shares in Afterpay back in March of 2020, and I was too afraid to commit to actually buying some because of how the market was trending, considering it was the beginning of COVID and we basically had seen the market take the biggest hit it had taken since 2007. Hindsight is a bitch, because if I had purchased the stock, it would now be worth roughly 11 times that of the initial investment at the time of recording this video. This was a good life lesson for me, because since that day back in March of 2020, I have paid close attention to trending headlines like this and the opportunities they present. Payment in delayed installments have become increasingly popular amongst everyday consumers over the past couple of years. Afterpay recorded something like $11.1 billion in sales in the previous financial year, which is up about 110% from the year prior. And according to Afterpay, they now have over 10 million active customers, where an active customer is defined as someone who has made a payment through their service in the last 12 months. And this is where it gets really interesting. I did some digging, and from the Reserve Bank, since the beginning of the pandemic in Australia alone, Australians have wiped billions of dollars off of their national credit card debt since March of 2020. There is currently estimated to be about 13.3 million active credit card accounts within Australia that are open, which is down about 1 million accounts since the beginning of the pandemic, indicating that consumers have been closing their accounts. Like I said, buy now, pay later services are becoming more and more popular, especially with younger generations. And with business models such as Afterpay's not charging interest, just as an example, this trend is probably going to continue. Just for context, the main way that these buy now, pay later services actually make money, we'll use Afterpay as the example, is by charging the merchants a fee to be able to use that service, and they charge basically a late fee. If you miss a payment or you don't make a payment on time, Afterpay will charge that customer a late fee. Which leads me on to reiterate, like I said just before as well, there's an incentive there to use that service, because there's never going to be an interest repayment as of right now, as of recording this video, which is only going to entice customers, because interest repayments on credit cards, for example, I'm going to get into a statistic, it's quite shocking how much money these companies make through this interest repayment system. It's estimated that there is about $20 billion of credit card debt in Australia alone that is currently attracting interest as of 2021. This suggests that the average credit card debt for every Australian holding a credit card is roughly $1,500, which is a pretty frightening statistic in its own, but I know that that statistic is nothing in comparison to other countries such as the United States. So Square acquiring Afterpay for $39 billion, being the biggest buyout in Australian corporate history, is absolutely one to take note of, considering its projected potential. As a word of warning, however, I have recently made a video called Why Buy Now, Pay Later Services Will Destroy Your Savings, and I've linked it down in the description below. I really recommend giving it a watch after this video, because it builds on what I'm talking about today. I talk about the things to look out for that can potentially catch you out and impact your finances in a negative way, which I think is an important conversation to have. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall into these traps, and it really does negatively affect them. And while you're hunting, down in the description below for that link, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, because that will get me one step closer to buying my very first Lambo. Anyway, Moving on. It's very clear that the transaction I'm discussing in this video, being Square acquiring Afterpay, is one to pay attention to. It is a pretty clear indicator that the buy now, pay later service is potentially going to be moving into the phase now where they scale at mass. I back this up further with examples of other companies such as PayPal releasing their own variations of this service. I have no doubt in my mind that they see the potential and probably the paycheck that's going to come along with it, and they want a piece of that pie too. I guess to wrap this video up and where the conversation is going to be taken from here is the concern surrounding the regulation or lack of regulation in the buy now, pay later service industry, and how it is also a trending topic. I've been watching this closely as well because people are trying to crack down on the actual industry itself to make it more regulated. This is a good thing in my opinion because it helps customers in the end be more responsible with their money, because I don't really trust people with their money. I've seen too many people mishandle it, but this is where the conversation is definitely going to go. So I'm probably going to make a follow-up video to this one in the near future, talking about how regulation could impact investors and customers of these services. Something to definitely watch out for because it's an interesting topic in two different spaces. I've talked about the dangers of being a customer and utilizing this service, and now I'm talking about the potential as an investor utilizing this service. And then the last piece of the pie is kind of the regulation that comes with it, which would definitely feed into how investors approach using their money to invest in a company like Afterpay as an example, and vice versa as a customer, how it would entice someone to be able to use that service and know that they're going to not get screwed over in specific fees and basically anything that they're not aware of before actually utilizing that service. However, for now, as an investor, I highly recommend keeping your eyes on the buy now, pay later industry, and definitely watch out for headlines that would potentially cause the price of specific stocks to go all the way up or all the way down, especially if you're invested in them. As a customer, I highly recommend avoiding these services like the plague. And if you watch my video on why I think that they are terrible, which is the one I have linked down in the description below, you will understand why I think that these services are predatory and they really aren't good services to use. And I don't want to get into it in this video. So I'm going to leave it with that. Overall, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it was insightful. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe down below. I really do appreciate the support. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.